Hi everyone, Jacob from Initiative Tabletop here. I want you to take a moment with me to imagine you and a bunch of your friends are out in this cabin. It's in the middle of the woods. It's kind of a desolate place. Not too many people know about this cabin. As you're out there and as the night is getting ready to come upon you, you start to hear something outside. Low at first, but then it gets louder and louder until you realize it's moaning. You take a look outside, and what do you see? Zombies. Zombies surrounding your cabin. They keep coming closer and closer. Now luckily you happen to have a little stockpile of weapons out there, mainly like your hunting rifles and things like that. But you see a lot, too many almost to take care of. So what are you going to do? Are you going to survive the night? Are you going to escape the panic as you fight the dead? Well, there's a game that was just recently released called Dead Panic, made by Fireside Games for 2 to 6 players and takes roughly 90 minutes to play. And those questions that I just asked you, if you play this game, you'll be able to answer them for yourself. So let's take a look at what's inside. So this is the basic setup for Dead Panic. As you can see, you have the board, you have 2 decks of cards, which you have your cabin cards and then your event cards. You have all the walls for the cabin. You have what are crack markers. Each time a zombie comes up against the wall, you put one of these on there. You have your rescuer's token, the bait token, extra survivors, the radios, your character cards, and your character's zombie tokens, and injury markers. Also, you have the bag of zombies. So the way you set this up, you obviously put out the board, set up all of the walls, which there is one that has a door. You line it up with the front here. And then you place out 6 zombies. When you go to place a zombie, as you can see on this one right here, well, there we go. As you can see right here, there are numbers on here. Like there's a 1 and there's a 2. When you go to place them, you line up the number, the highest number, with the center of the board, the cabin space. This is so you can always know how much health that zombie has. After you do all that, you take the survivor tokens, put them in the bag, and shuffle it all up. And then you're ready to play. During each turn, each player has 2 actions. An action can be either to move, to draw a cabin card, to use a cabin card, to trade, to repair a crack, or if they happen to have the radio, they can call for the rescuers. So let's go here with Ray's turn. Ray sees all these zombies out here, but he doesn't really have anything, so he's going to search. He's going to draw a cabin card. And he draws a pistol. This right here is the amount of damage that can be done whenever you hit. This right here is your range, and these numbers here in the gold is the amount of ammo that this weapon has. Now a pistol will do 1 damage to a zombie for 1 point. And then whenever you fire it, you rotate it. So if Ray here was going to shoot at a zombie, he would use an action and turn the card. And keep doing it until he used up all his actions or all the ammo. Once all the ammo is used up, you flip it over, and it becomes a club. Now, a club is a one-time use. As soon as you use it to bash in a zombie, you lose it. And then Ray takes another action. Maybe he'll decide to move over here. Try to get this fast little guy up here. Then we've got Julie, who she'll do some stuff. She'll search. She'll draw a cabin card. And she draws a machete. Now, a machete and many other weapons like this are special. They are melee. When you look up here, you'll see a fist icon in the little red circle. A melee weapon, kind of like a club, except on a success, you don't lose it. After all players have completed their actions, the first player, also known as bait, will draw an event card. This one says, "How do you kill the dead?" All wounded zombies return to full health. If we had injured any zombies during this turn, then we would turn them back to full health. Like, for example, this sprinter, who's at 2. If he was at 1, drawing this card would make him turn to 2, facing the cabin so we know how much health he's at. And then, on each event card, you'll see right up here, there is a number sign -1. With each event card, it'll have things on there, like a number sign, or the number sign +1, -1, or it might have an asterisk, or just an actual number. What this does is it tells you how many zombies to draw. In this instance, you would draw number of players -1. So, we've got 2 players here. They would draw 2 tokens. And then roll 1 die to see where they start at. So they start at number 3, which is right here. Oh, we got lucky. We drew a survivor. Survivors bring out the radio pieces, which is exactly what we need in order to beat the game. Once one player has all 3 radio pieces, all 3 of these right here, and puts them all together, just like so, they can use an action to call the rescuers to come pick us up. So after you place the zombies or survivors, you then go to the move phase, which, first of all, survivors will always move. So he moves up, then all zombies move. When the zombies all move, they will try to go towards the nearest survivor, or they will go towards the cabin. They always try to go after whoever's closest, though. Also, we have a special one out here, which is a creeper. On a creeper, you roll a die, and if it's 4 or higher, they move. Now, luckily, I rolled a 3. That means this guy does not move. So after all the zombies have moved, then fighting begins. By the way, the sprinter here moves 2 spaces instead of 1. So he would move up here and then over to the survivor. The way fights are resolved, if it is the survivor token, you look at the zombies that are there and how much health he has compared to how much health they have. For each point of health that he has, he will damage a zombie for that many points. For example, a shambler is 1 point. The survivor has 3 points. So, you turn his token so that the 2 faces the cabin, and the shambler has been disposed of. Rawr! But, unfortunately, he's got another zombie here, a sprinter. So, you look at their health. The sprinter has 2. Survivor has 2. So the survivor, in a valiant effort, defeats the sprinter at a sacrifice of himself. The survivor now becomes a zombie. He won't move and he won't attack with this phase, but the next move phase is when he'll become the official zombie. Whenever survivor dies, You'll take one radio piece and drop it in the space that they were in. And then you'll continue this on until either all the heroes have died or you've gotten all the radio pieces and have actually been able to call the rescuers. Now, if a zombie, like the survivor here, got up here and nobody had taken care of him, and it was his time to move, he would put a crack in the wall, which you just take one of those tokens and slide it right over. Whenever you would have a second crack happen, the wall is destroyed. Whenever that happens, you just take the wall and remove it. Of course, some people have a little special text. The Brute, for example, when he would destroy a wall, he destroys it. He doesn't just damage it, he just takes it out. After a few turns, as you can see here, things tend to get a little crazy. We've got a lot of zombies out here. We've lost half of our walls. And poor Ray, well, he's already been injured once. And he's got 3 zombies right in front of him. Unfortunately, he's used up all of his pistol ammo, so he's got a club, but not much else. So, whenever a fight happens with a hero or a survivor and a zombie, what you do is you, first of all, choose either a melee weapon or a club, anything like that, or you can try to push them, and you look at the top of the zombie token. At the top of the zombie token, see if I can get it focused here, you'll see a number. That number right there tells you the zombie's fight number. What you have to do is you have to roll above it. Now, for the most part, if you tie it, then that means nothing happens. Except for the brawler. The brawler wins on ties. So, let's see how Ray fares. Ray's going to try to bash the brawler. The brawler has a fight number of 8. So he's got to get a 9 or higher just to do a point of damage. Every time you hit with a melee weapon, it only does 1 point, unless otherwise stated. Oh, not good. He rolled a 7. Well, luckily for him, he was trying to use his club. Unfortunately, he didn't do anything. Now, whenever you take a weapon, doesn't matter what it is, and use it as a club, it's going to be discarded. But the nice thing about a club is if you fail the roll, instead of taking a wound, you can discard it. You're going to lose it anyway, why not? If this had been another weapon, like the machete, and Ray had failed his roll just like that, he would then have the option to either discard it or take a wound. Well, Ray's going to try his luck now at trying to push the Shambler away. Oh, bad luck for Ray. He rolls a 5, and the Shambler's fight number is a 7. Since he doesn't have anything here that he could have discarded, or that he used, he takes an injury, takes another wound. Now he's got another fight, the Survivor. How will he fare? Oh, he got an 8. Since he got over the number and he was trying to push, he can push the zombie 1 space, any direction. So he'll push the Survivor here. Now, if he had failed the roll, let's say he'd gotten a 6. Then he would have taken another injury and been dead. When you die in the game, you take your token and put it on its side like that. Then you flip it over, and on the back here you'll see that there are a bunch of circles that have different abilities. During the next zombie move phase, you will be reanimated as part of the dead. You'll replace your token with the zombie version of you, facing the highest number to the center, and then you'll take 2 wound markers and pick one of these abilities here to put it on. Like example, you could move an additional space. You can make yourself win on ties. You could re-roll both dice once per turn. So it makes it a little harder and throws in a little bit of a competitive edge. Well, Julie's lucked out here. She's gotten all 3 radio pieces, and she just used an action to call the survivors. Whenever you would call the survivors, you take 1 die and roll it. Whatever number that shows is where you put the survivor token at. The player that has the radio can use an action after they've called the rescuers in to move the van either left or right 1 space. So for example, Julie being way over here, she might want to move that van to where it's a little closer, a little easier for her to get to. As you move along on the board and try to get away from the zombies, what you have to do is you got to get to that van and then use an action when you get in it there to get in. Once all survivors, living survivors that is, have gotten into the van, the game's over and they have won. If the survivors don't make it into the van, well, then that means the zombies won. And that is Dead Panic. This game is a lot of fun. Anybody who's ever played any other games made by Fireside Games will know that they do a really good job on what they have. The components are great in this. The rulebook is great in this. Just the whole gameplay, it is so much fun. It's so immersive, and you really have to work together. And what's fun too is whenever you happen to become a zombie, if you do, well, the game changes then. Goes from the co-op into semi-co-op, where now you're trying to get everyone else eaten. The only complaint that I would have about this is the little cardboard bases. Just because anytime you pick up the figures or anything, they come off. Other than that, everything in this game is awesome. So, keep an eye out on Fireside Games, and keep an eye on Initiative Tabletop. May the dice roll in your favor.